manage a schedule of all of our subcontractors that actually build the houses.
Okay. Do you know the defendant in this case?
Yes.
Can you point to him and state a color of his clothing?
Yes, he's got a striped gray and white shirt.
Okay. Let the record reflect that correct identification of the defendant, Judge.
Record will still reflect.
How long have you known the defendant?
Almost 20 years.
Okay. And how did you meet the defendant?
Working for the sheriff's office.
And did you work for the sheriff's office?
Yes.
What was the time frame that you worked for the sheriff's office?
From 96 to around 2004 or 5.
Okay. What were the circumstances in which you met the defendant?
On patrol. He was a zone deputy.
Would you consider yourself a good friend of the defendant?
Yes.
Besides patrol, did you work with the defendant elsewhere?
Yes, community policing.
Okay, and where was that?
On Siesta Key.
And you said you worked with the Sarasota Sheriff's Office until 2004?
Roughly 2004, 2005. I don't remember exactly.
After that time, did you continue to socialize with the defendant after the period you left with the
Yes.
Sheriff's Office? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, how frequently would you meet with him?
We would meet periodically every month, every other month, sometimes 3 months, just to catch up.
Okay, and was there a typical location that you'd meet with him?
Most of the time it was at a Starbucks.
Okay. Starbucks where?
It would depend. Most of the time it was the one on University by the interstate.
Okay. And, sir, do you have any children?
Yes.
And what are their names and ages?
I have 2 boys. Caden is 16 and Logan is 15.
On the 11th of January of this year, did you have contact with the defendant?
Yes.
What day of the week is the 11th of January?
Wednesday.
Okay. And is there something that you regularly do on Wednesdays?
Every Wednesday I go to Northport to see my boys.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, the state's going to move into evidence. State Exhibit 52, provided to defense counsel. They are copies of Mr. King's phone records from October 21st until 23rd of January this year.
No objection.
Thank you, sir. No objection having been heard. 52 is admitted and may be published at your discretion.
Your Honor, also the state's going to publish an extract of that document of only calls on Mr. King's phone from the 11th through the 12th of this year.
Is there a separate designation for that
It's
exhibit?
52A.
52A. Thank you. Is there any objection?
No, sir.
Commissioner Collins?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Adjustable. No, that's fine. That's fine. I use the laser point. There's an extract 52A on the screen, and I'm just going to go through that. Mr. King, can you tell the members of the jury what your phone number is?
It's 941-313-0536.
That number right there?
Yes.
That's your number?
Yes.
Correct. Okay. Did you have the defendant's phone number in your contact list?
Yes.
Okay. And it would come up with his name when you call?
Yes.
Okay. From that document, do you see the defendant's phone
Yes.
number listed? Which is his phone number?
941-238-8564.
Okay. So referring to the 11th of January at 4:23 in the afternoon. So approximately what time did you work to that day? on the road?
Right around 5 o'clock,
Okay.
4:45, 5 o'clock
And
normally.
where are you to go that day?
At that point, I leave work and I go straight to Northport
Okay, and why do you go to Northport?
to see my children.
Okay, so you have your two children that they're living in Northport.
Yes,
And so you have visitation, essentially.
Yes.
That's your visitation there.
yes.
And you work, what area? What's the general location of where you work?
Clark and 75.
Okay, so that's where you're leaving from to then go pick up your kids?
Yes,
Okay. And you leave about 5 o'clock?
roughly, yes.
So initially, there's a phone call at 4:23 in the afternoon, right?
Yes.
And there's a second call. And is there any other communications with the defendant on that day?
Yes, after I left work while I was driving to Northport, I called him
Okay.
to basically finish a conversation we were.
Okay, and we're referring to this 49-second call at 5:11
Yes.
p.m. on the 11th of January. Okay. And again, what is the context of what that phone call is about?
He said he had my drill that he had borrowed around 6 months earlier and he wanted to give it back to me, and we discussed meeting after I got finished with my kids.
Okay, so at that time you have an arrangement that you're going to meet later
Right.
in the evening?
Yes.
Okay. And generally, well, what did you do with your kids that day? And tell the jury of how your day progressed.
Okay, so once I picked my kids up, we typically would go out to dinner somewhere and do homework, or go to the mall and do homework. Just spending about 3 hours with my kids.
Okay. And so you take them to eat, to the store,
And do
and
homework.
spend a few hours with them.
Yes. And then I drop them back off to their mom's house.
And you indicated that in a call going down, the defendant stated that he wanted to return your drill,
Yes.
and then you arranged to meet up.
Yes.
Okay. Was there further communication between you and the defendant?
Not at that point. I told him I would call him on my way back from seeing the kids.
Okay. And approximately what time did you drop off your kids?
Always between 8 and 8:30.
Okay. So referring to that document of your phone records, there's a call, and that's your phone number, correct?
Yes. No, that's his phone.
Well, yours,
That's my phone. Yes.
yours is out, right? This number here, with the defendant's number that you dialed,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's at 8:29
Yes.
in the evening.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell the members of the jury what occurs in that phone conversation?
I told him I just dropped my kids off. I was getting on the interstate and heading north, and that I would let him know when I got closer, and we would meet at the Starbucks off of State Road 70 near 75.
Why did you choose that location?
We typically always would meet at a Starbucks, but it's also on the way to my house, and it's close to both of our houses.
And where do you live, sir?
Off of State Road 70 and 33rd Street East.
Okay.
In
And
Bradenton.
approximately how far away does the defendant live from your home address?
About a mile, maybe a little bit more. A subdivision around the corner.
Okay, so pretty close.
Yes.
And that's the reason why you chose that Starbucks?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have additional telephone conversations with the defendant that evening?
Yes. I had called him, I guess, when I was getting there, or he called me to kind of see where we were, you know, because I didn't know if he was coming from his house to meet. And then,
And we're referring to the 8:43
yes,
p.m. phone call. And it lasts about a minute.
Yep.
So, what do you do? Status of where you're at?
yes, basically I'm pulling in, or I was close, or just getting off the interstate. I don't recall off the top of my head. It was.
And Is there another call? So 8:43 is right there, right? So,
Right.
okay. What time approximately do you meet with the defendant?
Between 8:45 and 9 o'clock. I mean, it takes me typically about a half an hour to get back up to State Road 70, so it was right around 9 o'clock.
Just about 9 o'clock?
Yes.
Maybe a little earlier?
Yes.
A few minutes earlier? Okay. How did the defendant arrive at that location?
In his truck.
Mr. King, I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 55A through D for identification. Do you recognize State's Exhibit 55A through D?
Yes.
And are those fair and accurate depictions of the defendant's assault?
Yes.
Around this time, the state will look at State's Exhibit 55A through D. No objection.
Objection having been heard, 55A through D are admitted and will be published for discretion.
And can you just tell members of the jury what is depicted in State's Exhibit 55A?
Frank's truck.
And what's the make of the truck?
It's a Ford King Ranch.
It's a Ford what, sir?
King Ranch.
King Ranch, thank you.
B. Is the make of the truck there on the picture?
Yes, I mean, it's a Ford, but if on the bottom of the door, that's the King Ranch sign. It says King Ranch. Yeah. But that's the symbol for King Ranch.
And here's 55C. That's the license plate for the truck.
He does have a Bucks license plate. I don't know the number on it, but yes.
Okay. You're at the parking lot at the Starbucks?
Yes.
And again, where's the Starbucks?
Starbucks is off of State Road 70 near the interstate in front of Lowe's.
Okay. And you indicated that you met with the defendant just before 9 o'clock and he arrives in his truck.
Yes.
Do you see the defendant arrive?
Yes.
Okay. And where do you park in the parking lot?
There's the Lowe's parking lot is directly behind the Starbucks. So we were actually parked in the parking lot behind the Starbucks parking lot.
Okay. And you met both trucks parked near each other?
Yes.
Okay. What is the defendant doing when he arrives?
When he pulled up, he started to get out of his truck. He was on the phone.
Okay. Do you actually see him on the
Yes.
telephone?
Yes.
Do you know who he is speaking with?
No.
And is this, again, just before 9 o'clock?
Yes.
When he gets out of the truck, you said he's on the phone. Does he hang up the phone immediately to begin the conversation with you?
No, he talked for a few more minutes.
Okay. But again, you don't know who he's speaking with, but he's on the phone for several minutes even after he arrives.
Yes.
Do you hear any part of the conversation?
I heard him talking. I didn't hear or listen to what he was talking about.
After he hangs up the phone, can you tell the members of the jury what then happens?
He walked over, he grabbed the drill that he had borrowed from me, took it out of his truck, and put it in the back of my truck.
Okay. Do you have any further conversation after he puts the drill in the back of your truck?
Yes, we continued our catching up conversation. We talked about the kids and cars, and we talked about the cruise that I was on. He had stated that we had mutual friends on the cruise.
Okay, when did you go on a cruise?
Yes, beginning
Okay.
first
When
week
did
of
you go on a cruise?
first week of January.
And what do you say about the cruise you were on?
He said that he was actually invited, that we had mutual friends, or that I had met people he knew on the cruise. He was invited to go but didn't go.
Did you ask him who he knew on the cruise?
Yes.
Who did he say he knew on the cruise that you were on?
I can't.
Okay. Who did you meet her with?
It was a big group of law enforcement from Manatee and some from Sarasota that all went on the cruise.
Did the defendant indicate that he had prior contact with his deputy, and you said the first name that you knew of was Carson?
Yes.
Okay. What did he say?
That he knew Carson, he worked with Carson, and he had met Carson's boyfriend who works for Manatee County.
Did he ever mention hanging out together with him?
Yes, he said they hung out, the three of them together.
Was there other conversation that you had in the parking lot at that Starbucks?
Nothing other than just family. We talked about, again, with the kids. He asked me how work was going. I spoke about my girlfriend, us moving back in together. It was just, again, catching up.
Did you ask him how things were going for him?
Yes, I asked him about his kids, asked him about work. I asked him just in general how everybody was.
What did he say about work?
He was on administrative leave.
Okay. Did you follow that answer up when he said he was on administrative leave?
No.
Was there any conversation about the defendant borrowing your vehicle?
Yes, he asked me if he could borrow my truck that night.
In the conversations, you had several phone conversations with the defendant that evening.
Yes.
Was the request to borrow your truck ever brought up in those phone conversations?
No.
It was only when you met there at the Starbucks?
Yes.
To your memory, has the defendant ever borrowed your truck before?
I don't believe so.
So this is the first time there's a request to borrow your truck?
I believe so, yes.
Can you tell the members of the jury what the conversation was when the defendant asked to borrow your truck?
Yes, he asked me if I could borrow his truck. I looked at his truck and asked him why, because his truck was, there. He had said he was going to Paris and my truck got better gas mileage. He furthered the conversation. I asked him why he was going to Paris. He said he was checking on a stalker that he thought had moved back into town, and explained the situation that apparently in the past someone had put trash in his yard. Someone had lived near him and was stalking he and his family, and it had happened again, and he thought that they had moved back into town.
So he wants to then borrow your truck that
Yes.
evening? Did you question him further about him wanting to borrow your truck that evening?
No.
So what happens? He asked to borrow your truck. You asked him why he wanted to borrow the truck.
Yes.
And so do you exchange keys or key fobs?
Exchange keys, and I told him when he brings it back, just park it in the carport.
Now, you indicated that you lived approximately a mile from. Did he indicate how long he needed to borrow your truck for?
He said it'd only be about 30 minutes.
Where were you to then re-exchange your vehicles?
He would drop my truck off at my house and pick his truck up.
How long is your conversation approximately at the Starbucks when you said you got there a little before 9 o'clock in the evening?
A little less than 30 minutes, I'd say.
After you exchange the keys, do you leave in his vehicle?
Yes.
Who leaves the parking lot first?
I do.
What do you see with respect to the defendant and your vehicle?
As I was leaving, he was still sitting in the parking lot.
Okay, in your vehicle?
In my vehicle, yes.
Okay. Where do you go?
I drove home.
Okay, and approximately what time did you get home that evening?
Roughly 9:30.
And the defendant's vehicle in your driveway?
Yes.
Okay, and who is that other person?
My girlfriend's daughter had just gotten home from work.
Okay. What's your girlfriend's daughter's name?
Keely Robb.
And how old is Keely?
Right now she's 17. I believe she was 16 at the time.
Okay. And since you mentioned it, at the residence where you live, who lives there with you?
My girlfriend Jen Robb, Keely Robb, and her son Ethan Robb.
Okay. So were you present when Keely saw the defendant's vehicle in your driveway?
Yes.
Okay. And you indicated that you backed his vehicle into your driveway?
Yes.
Does the defendant return your vehicle in the 30 minutes as he said he would?
No.
What happens when you get home?
I relaxed, sit on the couch, and about 10:30 I went going to bed.
Okay. Do you attempt to contact the defendant?
Yes.
Now you said at 10:30. Does the defendant return the vehicle at 10:30?
No. I tried
This
to.
is more than over an hour, right?
Yes.
So what did you do?
I tried calling him.
Okay, I'm going to refer you to say exhibit phone calls. To A, there's a phone call at 10:33, 3 seconds. What happens on that call?
It went right to voicemail.
Do you attempt to call back?
Yes.
Is that second phone call?
Yes.
10:33, 3 seconds.
Yes.
What happens when you call him at 10:33?
It went right to voicemail.
So what do you do?
I went to bed.
And you still, when you went to bed, don't have your truck, right?
Correct.
So I'm going to show you states exhibit 54, 8, and C. Do you recognize those photos?
Yes.
What are
This is my vehicle.
they? Now this time to say we need that states exhibit 54, 8, and C. No objection.
Thank you. No objection having been heard. 54A, B, and C are admitted and may be published at your discretion, sir.
What's 54?
That's the front of my vehicle. Right side. And the driver's side of my vehicle.
to sleep at 10:30?
Roughly, yes.
Then still hasn't returned to your vehicle, correct?
Correct.
That evening into the next morning, when is the next contact that you have with the defendant?
I received either a phone call or a text and saying I'm outside, and I don't remember which one it was.
Okay. And if it's text, it's not on your phone records, right?
Correct.
What time do you receive that text or phone call?
I don't know.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what time?
I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Is it early morning or?
I absolutely have no idea. You'd have to look at records. I don't know what time it was. I know it was after I'd already gone to sleep.
Okay, when there's a communication though, that next communication, so if we have records to indicate when that communication was
Yes.
when you would have then went out
Yes.
to see the defendant,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Now, are we talking hours later, right?
Yes.
Okay, we're not talking just 11 o'clock.
Correct.
We're talking hours.
Yes.
But that's the next contact you have with the defendant hours later after the 10:30.
Yes.
So you receive some communication from him that he's outside.
Yes.
Okay. So hours later from 10:30, what do you then do when you get that communication?
I grab his keys and go outside to meet him.
Do you ask him where he was?
No.
Any other conversation that evening?
No, we exchanged keys and we shook hands and he said, "Thanks, buddy." And that was the end of it.
And again, this was several hours from the 10:30 phone
Yes.
call. Do you have any other contact with the defendant after, I'm going to say, the early morning hours of the 12th?
On the 12th?
No, after
Just
that.
after?
After
Yeah.
that occasion.
Yes.
Can you describe that contact that you had, that subsequent contact that you had with the defendant?
After, it was approximately a week later, I was contacted by a detective from the sheriff's office.
Detective Tuck?
Detective Tuck. He wanted to talk to me about an investigation. And at that point I was driving to him and I tried to call Frank and it went to his voicemail.
Okay. Did you know why Detective Tuck wanted to see you?
No.
Do you meet with the Detective Tuck?
Yes.
Approximately when do you meet with him?
It was right around lunchtime.
What day?
It was the following Wednesday, so the 18th.
Okay. What did you discuss with Detective Tuck?
Everything that we've just talked about.
What we discussed?
Yes,
right?
everything we discussed.
About how the defendant borrowed your car?
Summarizing.
Sustained.
After you meet with Detective Tuck, do you speak with the defendant?
He called me, I believe, the next day.
Okay. Okay. When you say he called you, was it from a phone number that you recognized?
No, it was not.
But do you answer the phone?
Yes, I did.
And then did you recognize it then to be the defendant on the phone?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the conversation that you then have with the defendant.
So I answered the phone and he said, "Hey, buddy," and I pretty much read him the riot act. I was very angry and upset
Why were you upset?
that he had involved me in something that I didn't ask to be involved in, obviously being interviewed by a detective about something that appeared serious at the time, and serious enough they took my truck and my phone, and I was angry, and I expressed that to him.
Okay. Did he respond?
Yes,
What did he say?
he said he was sorry, he didn't do anything. He apologized repeatedly.
Okay. Did you respond?
Yes, I just kept telling him that I was angry. I said, I don't want to know what you did. He made comments like I didn't do anything. And I just kept telling him, I don't want to hear, I don't want to talk about it, I don't want to know. And just that I was pretty upset with him.
Was there further conversation about arrangements he had made?
Yes, he started crying and he started talking about he had made arrangements for his wife and his kids to be okay. He had done something with his retirement so his wife could get his retirement. And I just, was pretty thrown by the conversation, but it was,
What's that?
I was set back by the conversation. I was still very angry, but he was discussing arrangements he made for his family.
Okay. Was there anything else he mentioned in reference to the victim in the case, or assault?
He said when he was trying to tell me what was going on and I told him I didn't want to know anything, he stated that even they don't believe her friends, I guess meaning the victim's friends, and they think that he did it. And he kept telling me he didn't do anything.
One more. I have an answer.
Thank you. Gentlemen, Ross?
Mr. King, how many times were you interviewed in this case?
By who?
I'm sorry?
By who? I've been interviewed, I believe, 2, maybe 3 times by detectives, and then a couple times by the state attorney's office.
All right. You recall being interviewed by Detective Tuck and Detective Lefevre,
Yes,
and that was the first interview that you had, correct?
yes.
Where did they have you come to?
We met on Bee Ridge and Cattleman in the Starbucks parking lot.
And that would have been on January 18th, roughly?
Yes, Wednesday.
They recorded your interview,
Yes,
placed you under oath.
yes.
At this point in time, when you spoke with these gentlemen, and they asked you about your knowledge of Mr. Bybee, you tell them that you guys had a telephone conversation, correct?
Yes,
Just like you did today.
yes,
And that the calls were to catch up because you hadn't talked in 3 to 4 weeks. Fair?
yes,
And then you were asked whether you called him or he called you. Remember that?
on which occasion we phoned each other back and forth.
They're asking you this question in the first interview. Did you call him? Did he call you? Initiating the conversation. Remember that?
Okay.
All right. So I believe you say that you had called him. Is that fair?
I don't recall, but he called me first.
Okay. And somehow you connected or didn't connect and he called you back. Is that right?
Without seeing the interview, I don't recall. It's he.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'll show you what I'll mark as Defendant's Exhibit Bybee, I believe. Interview.
May I see it? May I see it? Thank you. What part am I looking at here to show, look at the inconsistencies? What are we showing? Okay, thank you.
intention to hear, read that to yourself? Tell me if that refreshes your recollection.
Is this referring to the first contact? Because it looks like it's further down the way when we're talking about other conversations.
Well, I'm asking you, sir. You told me you needed to see the interview, correct?
Yes, but are you asking me the very first contact I had with him, did I make the phone call or did he make the phone call?
Correct.
What you're showing me here is in the middle of a conversation that I'm having with the detectives about our phone calls back and forth. Okay.
I'm asking you, do you remember in the first call whether you called him or he called you?
He called me.
Did you immediately connect?
I believe so, yes.
Did you get cut off at all?
Not at that point.
At what point did you get cut off?
I believe maybe driving down the interstate, or maybe we did get cut off in the very first conversation we had. But
And he had to call you back or you called him back?
I would have to look at the phone records, but I'm sure one of us called each other back.
Do you recall talking to the detectives about that?
Yes.
Do you recall what you just read? Refresh your memory.
Again, what you're showing me here is a conversation about phone calls. You're not asking me about the first phone call or the second phone call. This doesn't have anything to do, it doesn't have anything on here about being disconnected or not disconnected.
I didn't say it did, sir.
That's the end of the line of questioning. You can show him where there's a specific question as to who called who first. Please show him that. He's identified the portion of the interview transcript as something he does not recognize as associated with that question.
Fair enough. You immediately, after being asked about who called who, when, where in that conversation, you volunteered that he asked to borrow your truck. Right?
Not in a phone conversation.
That's not what I said, sir. In your interview to the detectives, you're talking about the phone calls, back and forth, you immediately volunteered, he asked to borrow my truck. Correct?
During the interview, I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, please sidebar.
the detectives about the phone calls, did you then volunteer that Mr. Bybee offered to borrow your truck?
Mr. Bybee didn't offer to borrow my truck.
All right. Can you look at page 68, page 4? You said the words, right, he borrowed my truck.
Yes, I told the detectives that Bybee borrowed my truck.
Anywhere in this interview, do you tell the detectives that he did that when you met with him at 8:45, 9 o'clock at Starbucks?
I don't know when I told them that, or when asked to borrow my truck. Was at Starbucks.
Did you tell the detectives that?
Yes,
When?
during one of my interviews.
Can we take a break and have him read his interviews, because he never did that. Never. And that's impeachment.
Would you like to take a look at all of your statements, sir?
They're not.
May not ask it again.
Okay.
Okay? Now, if you want to ask him the question as to when it was that he was asked if he could borrow his truck, ask him that question.
You already testified, Your Honor, at Starbucks, and that's never where you told the detective.
Well, apparently it is.
Where, Your Honor? Where? In all due respect, where?
May I see this, please? And I will read it into the record for appellate purposes, all right? Thank you. So, DT, that would be Detective Tuck. All right, do you remember what time it was when he picked up the truck and where you were, or where you guys were at when you, and then unintelligible. TK, meaning Mr. King, we were at Starbucks. Where? 70 by the Interstate and Lowe's. Okay? Because I was coming back from Northport. And did you guys go inside at that point? Or did you stay outside? No. DT, Detective Tuck. You were out, were you in the parking lot? TK, yeah, in the, the parking lot, like right behind it. It's not the Lowe's parking lot, but like Starbucks is here. It's got the road that goes in between. That's read into the record as well. That's okay, that's not an issue. All right, so.
We are not disputing that they transferred trucks at 9:40, 8:40.
One more time, you're going to find out what contempt is.
Your Honor.
This is not proper impeachment. We're done on the issue.
All right.
Bring out the jury. All right,
Did you tell the detectives you believed he was wearing blue jeans?
Either blue jeans or shorts, and I also told them that's typically what he's wearing every time I see him.
When Mr. Bybee picked up your truck, you exchanged keys. He didn't have any bags with him, correct?
Correct.
Didn't have any white garbage bags or a backpack, right?
That I saw, no.
He got into your truck with nothing but the clothes on his back, correct?
Correct.
He handed you a drill, correct?
He actually put it in the back of my truck.
Did you see him with any blue gloves?
No.
Wearing black clothing?
I don't recall what he was wearing.
You indicate did you, well, let me rephrase that. Was it strange that he asked to borrow your truck?
Yes, a little bit.
He's borrowed many things from you in the past, has he?
Yes.
Tools?
Yes.
Various tools?
Yes.
Matter of fact, the drill was what was being returned.
Yes.
You borrowed things from him,
Yes.
to and including, I think, asked him to borrow his Tahoe?
I don't recall. It's a possibility.
Mr. Bybee, you call him at 10:30,
Yes.
and you call him at 10:30 to check where he is?
Yes.
Why does 10:30 stick in your head?
Because that's what time I normally go to bed.
At that point in time, isn't it true that Mr. Bybee either called or texted you and said, I'm outside?
Not at 10:30, no.
I may have a moment here.
Certainly, ma'am.
Other than it was after I'd gone to sleep, I do not.
You know how long you were asleep from 10:30 to when he texted you?
No.
Do you have any idea what the timing?
No, it was, I would say it was hours.
Within hours or with hours?
Hours. I don't know.
So 12 o'clock?
I don't know a time. It was hours, not minutes, from when I had fallen asleep.
And my question is, how do you know it was hours if you don't know the time?
Because I was asleep and I don't fall asleep right away.
Okay? So because of your sleep patterns, you say it's hours.
Yes.
Was anyone else still up?
No.
Anyone go outside with you?
No.
How? Well, let me ask you this. Sleep with your phone, I assume?
Next to me, yes, on the nightstand.
Phone rings. You don't know whether it was a ring or it was a text.
I do not know if it was a ring or a text. According to the phone records, it was not a ring. So unless it just didn't show up.
You say according to the phone records. Did you look at phone records?
Yes, the exhibit.
Okay. And the exhibit that was shown to you shows you a text?
No, it does not. So I have to assume it was a text because I didn't see a phone call.
And the representation of hours, you told us it was based on your sleep. Did Mr. Bybee appear nervous?
No.
Agitated in any way?
No.
And he changed his clothes?
I don't know. I don't know what he was wearing to begin with.
Did he have anything with him? Backpack, bags?
Not that I recall, no.
Was he wearing a hat?
I don't recall.
May I retreat?
You show me.
You already did.
All right. No further questions. Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Be direct.
Mr. King,
Yes.
you don't know where the defendant went or what he did after you left that parking lot
Correct.
at Starbucks,
Yes.
correct? Other things?
Thank you. Subject to recall?
Yes.
No.
Mr. King, you may step down, sir. Thank you.
Judge, I have a short witness.
Call your witness.
Keely Robb.
Last name is Rob.
Robb.
R-O-B-B.
Yes.
May I inquire?
Good afternoon. Can you please state your full name and spell your last name? Actually, spell your whole name.
Okay, Keely Robb, and it's Keelierobbbb.
Okay. And where do you live, Keely?
5837 33rd Street.
You're going to have to speak up just a bit.
Okay, 5837 33rd Street East.
And who lives there with you?
My mom, my little brother, and Troy, which is my mom's fiance.
Okay. Troy is your mom's fiance?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How old are you, Keely?
I'm 17 years old.
And what's your date of birth?
March 21st, 2000.
And what school do you go to?
Braden River High School.
And what grade are you in?
I'm a senior, 12th grade.
Okay. Do you know what type of vehicle, and you refer to him as Troy?
Yep.
Okay, Troy drives.
A Chevy, and it's just a black truck. I don't know the specific name.
Have you ever been in the truck before?
Yes.
What's significant about Troy's truck?
Nothing really. I just usually tell it's his truck because the front emblem, like the Chevy emblem, is missing.
Front emblem's missing? Okay, I'm going to show you.
That picture you guys struck, and just for the record, they say it's a 54A.
Yeah, that's Troy's truck.
And you said the front emblem's missing. What are you referring to?
The
You can point to it. You can get up and leave the chair there. Okay. The emblem right there.
Yep.
Okay. Is that the only vehicle that Troy drives?
Most of the time, yes.
Okay. Do you remember the evening of January 11th of this year?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay, do you remember parts of it because you were asked about it?
Yes.
On that evening, do you work?
Yeah.
Okay, where do you work?
I work at Party City on University.
Okay. On the 11th of January, were you working that day? Of January, were you working that day?
Yes.
Okay. And about what time do you get home from work?
It depends on the day, but usually around 9:30, 9.
Okay, about 9:30. And were you working that day, do you recall?
Yeah.
Okay. And you work after school?
Yes.
Okay. On the 11th, referring when you got home, do you remember seeing Troy's truck in the driveway when you got home?
No,
No, you don't remember seeing it, or it wasn't there?
it wasn't there.
Okay. Do you remember seeing another vehicle?
Yes.
What was, to the best of your memory, what did the other vehicle look like, if you can describe it?
Just a big Ford black truck.
Okay, a black Ford truck.
Mhm.
So you know it was a different make than
Yeah.
Troy's truck, right? Okay. But it wasn't Troy's truck, right?
No.
Did you see it? Now, I assume the next day you have school.
Yes.
So when you get up in the morning, is that black Ford truck still there?
I don't recall.
You don't recall if it was there or not?
No.
Okay, all right. Did you look?
No.
No, okay, all right. One moment, Judge. That's all I got, Judge.
No question.
Thank you, sir. Released from subpoena?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, you may be released from your subpoena, ma'am. Thank you. State your next witness.
The state calls Bonnie Southern. Afternoon, Ms. Southern.
Hi.
Can you please tell us your full name and spell your last name?
Bonnie Souther, Souther.
Ms. Southern, where do you reside?
3295 Brockton Lane.
Did you live at 3295 Brockton Lane in January of 2017?
Yes, I did.
At the time that you lived there, were you involved in a relationship with a man by the name of Michael Stinson?
Yes.
At that time, did Mr. Stinson live with you?
When?
In
January?
January of 2017? Had he lived with you prior to that?
Yes, until the end of December.
But did Mr. Mr. Stinson continue to visit you in your
Yes.
home?
Yes.
And are you and Mr. Stinson still in a relationship?
Yes, we are.
All right. Now, back in 2017, did you know a woman by the name of Marcia Soul?
Yes.
How do you know her?
She's my neighbor.
I'm going to show you what's been admitted into evidence in the State's Exhibit number 2. If you would take a look at that, please, Ms. Southern.
Yep.
Would that map help you in your testimony when we talk about where you and Ms. Soul lived and what transpired in January 2017?
Yeah.
Judge, can I take a look at that card? Sure. Appreciate that.
Okay.
And I'd like you to point out to the members of the jury your home. And could you also point out Brockton Lane for us, please, Ms. Souther,
Brockton,
and the sole residence?
right here.
Thank you. I want to direct your attention to the night of January 11th of 2017. Did there come a time when you noticed fire trucks and police cars in your neighborhood on Brockton Lane?
Yes, Michael was leaving for the night, and he said, "Oh, there's fire trucks outside." So we went and looked out. I went and looked out.
All right. Did you leave your home and go outside, or did you look up from a window in your home?
My bedroom window faces Brockton Lane.
And is that where you observed what was going on Brockton
Yes.
Lane?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you looked out the window at the fire trucks and police cars, can you please describe for us what you saw in Miss Soul's driveway?
I saw a black pickup truck, a large black pickup truck. I had never seen it there before.
Okay. Aside from knowing that it was a big black pickup truck, are you able to give us any other distinguishing features?
Not really. It was tinted windows. It was just very dark.
All right. Okay. Is there anything else? Can you tell us what time it was that you looked out that window and saw those police cars and fire trucks? And I don't want you to guess. If you can't, that's perfectly
I
fine.
can't.
All right. Thank you. Your Honor, may I confer?
Yeah.
Thank you. Nothing further, Ms. Souther.
Mr. Lakin?
I'm your son, I'm John Lakin. Nice to meet you.
Nice.
Let me ask you about your vision. Do you wear glasses?
Contacts.
Contacts, okay. What's the distance from your bedroom to the sole driveway? Can you
20.
estimate?
Maybe 25 feet.
Just kind of move from the podium?
I'm sorry, ma'am, you're gonna have to speak up a little bit.
Oh,
I need to
sorry.
hear what you're saying.
Okay.
So you think it's distance-wise, 25 feet?
Maybe. Yeah.
Further from here or closer?
Further.
Further back?
Yeah.
And further?
Not much.
Okay.
I mean, it's across the street. So it's, I have a driveway, then there's a street, and then her driveway.
And you were looking between some blinds? How were you looking?
Yeah.
Okay. And you said there was, you saw some fire engine lights or police
They were
lights.
down the street.
That was another direction.
Mhm.
Okay. And were those lights careening anywhere near where your property was? You could see that? That didn't obstruct your view in any way?
No. No.
Okay. And you say it was black, that vehicle? That's a yes?
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Sorry, yes.
In this
It was
business,
a
we have to
black.
take everything.
Yeah.
At that time, you were living with Michael. He moved.
No,
in-
he was not living there that time, but he was visiting.
He was visiting.
Mm-hmm.
Did he stay the night?
No.
And he was leaving himself
Yes.
at some point? Okay. You know Miss Soul,
Yes, we've met.
and she lives across the street from you,
Yes.
right? And do you talk to her often?
No.
Why not?
We're just neighbors.
Do you get along with her when you did talk to her?
We've had a couple of instances. I don't know how.
Was she complaining about it was a divot in her driveway?
Yes.
What? It's outside the scope, and he's verging on hearsay. In fact, he has gone into hearsay.
It is outside the scope of direct examination. Sustained.
Describe to me the lighting conditions. What kind of lighting is there?
There's actually a light in the front of my house,
Okay.
so it does illuminate the area.
And it illuminates out 20 feet or so, all the way across
Mhm.
the soul that's
Yeah.
missing it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh,
You didn't see anyone near that truck, you can't identify any person.
No, I didn't.
You saw no one around at all.
No.
And when you had an interview with Detective Tuck in this case?
Yes, I did.
And in that interview, you talked to him about what you witnessed that night?
Yes.
Okay. You said to him it looked black. Do you remember that?
I don't remember.
Okay. The next morning, you woke up
Yes, I did.
and you saw the black truck again.
No, I don't.
We all wake up.
Yeah.
We hope.
I don't remember seeing the truck the next day.
You have no memory of that?
No.
Can you hold on. Can I approach you?
Is he refreshing her recollection? Because I didn't hear a question in which she said I don't recall.
The next day.
And is that why you're asking her to refresh her memory?
Yes.
All right, very good.
You read that? That's a question. Ma'am, can you read that to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes. You read that?
Yes.
Did you say to the detective you might have seen the truck in the morning? Next morning?
Yes, I did. I said I might have. I didn't. There were so many trucks coming and going at that point.
The black truck.
I thought I had seen a black truck the next day.
In the morning.
I thought I'm saying it.
When you saw that truck, the truck was at night and the next day was facing forward?
I don't remember details about the next day, and I actually am not sure whether it was pulled in or I don't know whether it was facing in or turned out that night. There was a black truck there. I think I had told the detective that it was facing out, but I'm not sure. I just remember a black truck.
Nothing else?
Thank you, ma'am. You are dismissed. Any subject to recall?
No.
No? Thank you, ma'am. You are discharged from your subpoena. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't we take our mid-afternoon break at this time, and why don't we plan on being back at about 5 minutes past 3.
All right, you're clear.
Speak with all counsel, please. May I inquire?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Could you please tell us your full name and spell your last name?
Michael Gregory Stinson, Stinson.
Mr. Stinson, where do you reside?
Currently in Ohio.
Where did you live in January of 2017?
Sarasota.
And where did you live at that time?
With Miss Bonnie Sellers.
Okay. Were you involved in a romantic relationship with Miss Souther at the time?
Yes.
And are you and Miss Souther still involved in a romantic relationship?
Yes.
Okay. Where did Miss Souther live during the time that you knew her in Sarasota before you went to Ohio?
Brockton Lane.
Did you visit her frequently and or live with her at that time around January of 2017?
I visit her frequently, yes. Okay.
Would that help you with your testimony when you're describing the evening of January 11, 2017?
Yes.
Overhead the margins. Need to point anything out from there. Mr. Stinson, could you please point out the residence where you and Miss Souther were living on the night of January 11th of 2017?
This residence right here.
And can you also please point out the residence of Marcia Sold?
Directly across the street, right here.
Did you meet or know Miss Soul when you were living on Brockton Lane?
No.
Did you know where she lived?
Yes.
Were you visiting with, on the night of January 11th, did there come a time when you noticed fire trucks and police cars near Miss Souther's neighborhood?
Yes, I did.
Can you show us on that map, Mr. Stinson, where it was that the fire trucks and police cars had gathered?
Thereabouts, somewhere in this area. It was across the main street of Village Green. This is where Bonnie lives, but across Village Green, the fire trucks and everything were starting probably here, going up.
All right. When you were attracted to the sight or the sounds of the fire trucks or the police cars, what were you doing?
I was about to leave to go to my apartment.
All right. Did you walk outside of Miss Souther's residence?
Yes, I did.
Right. Did you notice anything unusual in Miss Soul's driveway?
I noticed a big dark truck.
And can you tell us a little bit more about that truck?
The reason why I noticed it was because, like I mentioned before, I told the detective I try to pay attention to what's going on around me. So I walked out and it stood out because there's never been one. I never noticed a truck there before. And I commented to Bonnie that it was a really nice truck. And because she came out to walk me out when I was leaving. So I just remembered it was a really dark truck. I think it had tinted windows, but it had really big tires on it. And
can you recall if the truck was pulled into the driveway or if it was backed into the driveway?
From my recollection, it was pulled in.
Okay, all right. What's the lighting like out there on Brockton Lane?
I mean, there are lights, you know, throughout the community, but it's not like it's really, really bright, you know.
Well, I mean, it was 11, what time was it, do you know?
It was kind of late,
Okay.
maybe 11, because it was, I don't know,
So,
it's hard to say, but it
That's
was,
okay, but it was dark.
yes.
All right. Did you have any trouble whatsoever in recognizing that there was a big dark truck in Miss Soul's driveway?
None whatsoever.
Are there any obstructions to your view of that big dark truck in Miss Soul's driveway?
No.
May I have a moment, Your Honor? Thank you very much, Mr. Stinson. I have no further questions.
Thank you. Mr. Layton?
How are you, Mr. Stinson?
I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm John Layton.
I just.
You had an interview with Detective Tuck in this case. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then you gave a statement to him under oath.
Yes, sir.
And in that statement, you made a. Do you recall telling him that you saw a truck parked on the street?
Yes.
Okay. So when you came out of the house that night and you saw the fire trucks off to the other side, that truck was on the street, not in the driveway.
That particular night, I believe the truck was parked in the driveway, but it is. I'm trying to recall if it was earlier in the day or in the evening, or if it was a different day. But I do remember seeing the truck parked in the driveway at one time.
When you arrived that day, you were asked by the detective whether the truck was on the street. Recall that?
I do recall seeing it in the street at one time.
Okay. It was a dark color.
Yes.
Right. And you believe this may be on a different occasion.
I believe so. It could have been, but there's different times where people park on the street versus in driveways, so it's kind of confusing at times. But
Can I approach?
You may.
May I have the page, please?
Page 7.
right here.
Yes, yes, I'll ask you a question. Is that refreshing there?
Yeah.
Okay. My question is, based on your interview with the detective, at the time you made this statement, which would have been on the 19th of January, just days after this event, do you recall seeing the truck was on the street?
I do recall seeing that.
Right, and that's your testimony now? That it's on the
Yes.
street. Okay, thank you. Let me ask you, I want to ask you some questions about the logistics and the dynamics of where you live in relation, where you were staying in relation to the sole property. How far is the driveway? Would you quantify that by feet? How long?
Art Bonnie's driveway.
Yes.
How long is it?
Yes.
I would imagine it's probably 20 feet.
20 feet or so?
Mm-hmm.
And I see you're wearing glasses. Do you have a prescription for that?
Yes.
Okay. And where were you sitting? You said you came out of the house. You never saw anything in the house, from in the house? Only outside?
Outside.
And you've never met Miss Soul?
No, not formally. No.
Never spoke to her?
No, she spoke to me one time when I was walking my dog.
You said that when you gave that interview with the detective that you believe it was a Toyota Tundra. Recall that?
Yeah, I do recall that.
Okay. And that's days after the events, and you believe at that time, at that moment when you told the detective it was a Toyota Tundra.
I told him it was, I believed it to be a Toyota or something, and I said could have been a Tundra and I couldn't recall the other Toyota truck.
I think
big
the words
truck.
were foreign made.
That's what I believe, yes.
Not a domestic.
Right.
What else? You described that vehicle to the detective as having big tires and kind of ornate, kind of big. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it wasn't like standard. It didn't appear to me that it had standard truck tires, but it was pretty much, you know, a little bigger than usual.
It stood out. It was not something you would normally see, like a Ford 150 or some other type of truck. This is something big.
It could have been a Ford, you know. Like I said, it was dark. It's just that the tires on it made it seem like it was bigger than it perhaps was. I don't know. Pardon me?
And why?
It seemed like it. Yes.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Redirect.
Did you also tell detectives when they asked you point blank, when you looked over at Marshall Soule's house, did you see a black truck in the driveway?
Yes.
And did you, when you went outside on that night in question, did you specifically tell the detectives that you saw a black truck in Marshall Soule's driveway?
Yes, I did.
Sustained.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
Okay.
All right, you may step down, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Subject to recall, either side.
No.
All right, so you're released from your subpoena, so you may go about your business. Thank you. State your next witness.
The state calls Sergeant Clifford Legg.
Just stand right here for me, raise your right hand and face the clerk of the jury.
Yes.
May I proceed?
May I inquire?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Sergeant. Will you please tell us your full name and spell your last name?
My first name is Clifford, last name is Legg, L-E-G-G.
What is your occupation, Sergeant?
I'm a sergeant with the Sarasota Sheriff's Office.
And how long have you worked for the Sarasota Sheriff's Office?
27 years.
How long a sergeant?
15 years.
Will you tell the members of the jury your duties?
I'm assigned to the patrol division. We work the streets and have shifts that we do.
Your Honor, I'm having a hard time hearing.
As am I.
Sorry.
Please speak up, sir. We all need to hear you.
Okay, and just move that a little closer, but not too close, because then it'll repeat. Okay. Tell us your duties, please.
I'm a sergeant in patrol division.
How many squads do you supervise?
Currently, I have two, a Sector 1 and a Sector 2.
How many men and women work for you?
7.
Back in December 2016 and January 2017, what were your duties then?
I was in the same position. I was a patrol sergeant.
And tell us about your shift at that time.
I was on day shift at that time. I worked from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Was Frank Bybee one of the deputies under your supervision back in December of 2016 up to January of 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to direct your attention to Tuesday, December 20th, 2016. Did there come a time when you were contacted by a fellow member of the Sheriff's Office, Sergeant Michelle DeCapua?
Yes.
How did Sergeant DeCapua contact you?
On the night or the evening of December 20th, I was not working, but I received an email from Sergeant DeCapua that she
just tell us how you were alerted by her.
She sent me an email.
Okay. And when you received that email from Sergeant DeCapua, did you take any steps once you read her email?
I was, like I said, I was not working at the time. My shift was to return the next day. So I just waited till I returned to work the next day.
All right, and when you returned to work the next day, did you take any steps based upon the information that you received from Sergeant DiCaprio?
Yes, I got with my lieutenant, Lieutenant Barshinger, and relayed the information that I had this email from Sergeant DiCaprio in reference to a complaint about Deputy Bybee. I actually showed Lieutenant Barshinger the email that I had received.
Okay. Did you, at some point with Lieutenant Barshinger, contact Miss Soul?
Yes.
And before you contacted Miss Soul, did you take the opportunity to learn how she and Deputy Bybee became acquainted?
Yes.
And what did you learn?
I learned that we can run in our database, we can run people's...
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation.
Well, I will sustain the objection.
All right. Is there a database that you have in which you can learn about information that reflects one of your deputy's actions?
Yes, we have a database that I can look at information and reports.
All right. And did you look at such a database?
Yes.
And did you learn from that database that...
Objection, leaving.
Sustained.
What did you learn from that database?
I learned that there had been a time where Marcia Soul had made a report to the sheriff's office, and that during that report, deputy responded to her residence in reference to a call.
Was Bybee the person that responded to that call?
Yes.
When was that call?
I don't remember.
Okay. Did you verify that Miss Soul and Bybee were communicating with each other?
Yes, that was verified.
How did you do that?
When myself and Lieutenant Barshinger went to see Mrs. Soul, there was conversation about what her complaint was. And as part of that conversation, she was asked, you know, are you still in communication with Deputy Bybee, and how's that taking place? And she said, yes, we communicate via text message. And she had a phone with her text messages, and she allowed Lieutenant Barshinger to look at the phone and scroll through the text messages that were on there.
Did you see text messages between Bybee and Miss Soul on Miss Soul's phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you quantify how many text messages you saw?
There were a lot. Again, that's a vague number, but there were several text messages.
When you say several, that means 2 to 7. Were there more than 7 text messages?
Yes, ma'am, more than 7.
Were there pages and pages of text
Yes, ma'am.
messages between her and Bybee?
Yes.
Did that give you cause for concern?
Yes.
Why?
I think it was just out of the ordinary. I've never seen or encountered a situation where a deputy, after being involved with someone in that manner, had established a relationship in which that communication was flowing back so freely. I've never encountered that before.
Right, and you say that manner. I'd like you to elaborate on that. What do you mean by that manner?
That manner in specific was the fact that the call that Deputy Bybee went to was in reference to Mrs. Soul being Baker acted.
Right. And when someone is Baker acted, is it because they frequently, if not always, have some kind of mental disturbance which necessitates them being protected for their own safety or the safety of others?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that why you had cause for concern?
Yes.
Did you take that phone with you to retrieve the contents of those text messages?
Lieutenant Barshinger called the captain of the patrol division and relayed the information as to what we were seeing on the phone and what was happening. Captain Thorpe requested that Lieutenant...
If you can just push that microphone a little closer because you're starting to inch away from it. Okay.
Sorry.
Without telling us what anyone said, Did you take that phone to retrieve the contents of the text messages?
I did not.
Not you personally. I'm sorry, I should have said, did the Sarasota Sheriff's Office retrieve the contents of those text messages?
Yes.
Thank you. Did anything unusual occur that day after you and Lieutenant Barshinger left Miss Soul's residence?
Yes, immediately upon leaving the residence, within a few minutes, I received a telephone call from Deputy Bybee.
What did he say?
He inquired as to what Miss Soul wanted.
That strike you as odd, Sergeant Legg?
Yes.
Why?
Any time that I've ever worked a complaint, if I find it necessary to call a deputy to speak to them prior and ask them what the basis of the complaint is, they're aware of it, obviously, beforehand. If I don't choose to call the deputy to get his version of what happened, and I just show up, then, usually they don't know that I'm there unless they have been told or something prompts them to know that I'm at that house speaking with.
Based upon the meeting, did you believe that he was anticipating that complaint?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Do all sworn sheriff's personnel have ability to know where their fellow law enforcement are at any given time?
Yes.
Could you just briefly explain how that is possible?
In our patrol cars, we have a computer that has different systems in it. There's one system that's a GPS tracking map where you can open up the map and it's got pictures of actual patrol cars that are there, and you can see them move around wherever they go. The other system is a layout, almost like an airport for departures and arrivals with the lines of people coming and going. Our status is shown in a line, and it shows where we are, and it's real time. Once you put yourself on that particular screen, it pops up a little line that says you're here doing this. Once you clear, that line immediately disappears. So it's real time. It shows up and disappears depending on if you're coming or going.
Once you talked to Bybee that day after he called you and asked you what Marshall wanted, did you order Bybee to have no further contact with Miss Soul?
There was a point in time, yes, ma'am.
How did you do that? In what manner did you do that?
It was via email.
Did you eventually meet with Bybee in person about Miss Soul's complaint of his misconduct?
Yes, it was the next day, the 22nd.
22nd of December 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Who initiated that meeting, Sergeant Legg?
Deputy Bybee.
How did he do that?
He sent me a message via the computers that we have in our car that he wanted to speak with me.
All right. And did you meet with him?
Yes.
When you met, did he orally acknowledge that he was to have no further contact with Miss Soul?
Yes.
That conversation that he initiated, how long was that conversation?
It was several minutes, just estimating between 20 to 30 minutes, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but it was a significant amount of time.
Okay. And did Bybee in that conversation try to persuade you that Miss Soul should not be taken seriously?
Yes.
How specifically did he try to persuade you that Miss Soul should not be taken seriously?
The gist of the conversation was that she was someone that would switch moods and would go from being someone that was normal and stable to someone that was somewhat unpredictable. And in furtherance to that, he forwarded me an email that had verbiage in it that led me to believe that she was obviously having some type of a mental issue at that time.
Did he claim to you that Miss Soul wrote that email?
Yes, ma'am.
And did he insist that you read that?
Yes, ma'am.
How did he go about, did he hand you a copy of the email? How did he go about giving you that email to read?
He forwarded the email from his computer straight to mine.
Okay, so let's set up for the jury exactly how this conversation took place. Were you in the same car? What was going on?
We were in separate cars.
Separate cars, and were you, was the driver's side of each car close to each other so that you could talk through the windows of your car to each other?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that how that took place? All right. I'm showing you what's been marked for identification as State's Exhibit 21. Will you please look at that, sir? Do you recognize it?
Yes, ma'am.
When was the last time you had an opportunity to listen to the contents of this recording?
It was several weeks ago when we were discussing what was on it.
All right. And did you, can you tell us if this is a true and accurate representation of the conversation that you had with Frank Bybee when you met him in your respective patrol cars on December 22nd of 2016?
Yes, ma'am.
Where I'm offering evidence State Exhibit 21.
Okay.
No objection. Having been heard, States 21 will be admitted and may be published. What is it, however, just for my records?
It's an audio tape, Your Honor.
Audio tape, thank you. Okay, we have somebody from IT available. Thank you, they're on their way.
He said, I said, so it's all done and over with. What is she saying? He goes, well, I told the captain. He goes, it's hard to read what the captain. Hey, Cliff. Did I send you charges already for my vacation? That's already taken care of. How about timesheets? Okay. I'll do that here in a few minutes. I got home last night and it's between you and me, I was kind of pissed because I talked to Dale about it. And I told Dale, I said, all right, so what crazy Marcia have to say? And he goes, well, actually, he called me, I think. I don't know if you might have talked at dinner or we talked before he went downtown. But anyhow, so I was talking to Dale about it, and he said, I said, so it's all done and over with. What is she saying? He goes, well, I told the captain. He goes, it's hard to read what the captain, the captain's not hard to read. And I said, well, what do you mean? I mean, what would you tell him to make it think it would go any different? And he said, well, parts of what she said were kind of legal, and other parts were, she was crying all over the place. And I said, okay, she's an 8-year-old lady with dementia. What is she saying I did? And so I was kind of leaving it at that. I got home and I was telling Ike about that before she went to prayer or Bible group, and I said, and I was actually kind of upset that Cliff, you and Dale know me, and it didn't end right there. And she goes, do they not know that we even invited her to our home, and this has affected all of us, not just you? And I said, I don't really know what she told them, because they haven't told me, which bothers me even more, makes me think it's somewhere else. And I didn't see her email that you sent me until maybe an hour later or something. But like I said, she was walking out going to a Bible study, and I had all 3 boys, so it was kind of chaotic. So I woke up this morning like, you know what, I'm not going to give a shit because I'm not even going to try to help this lady. Invited her into our home, we helped her. She's one day she's good, one day she's not. Monday was real bad for her. Monday, I told her, I said, I can't visit anymore, Marcia. But she was going to go to Busch Gardens Monday night. We were going to try to get a wheelchair from somebody. And then she was just kind of in a different world Monday night, so we didn't. So anyhow, I'm on that call I go with Scott. And that 13 hours later, everything's in the attic. And I come out and I got a text from Philomena, the Indian lady, that also kind of helps take care of it. And she said, can you ever minute the call or talk? And I said, yeah. She goes, okay, I'll call you back in 5 minutes. Well, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes goes by and she finally calls back. She goes, hey, I want to send you an email that Marcia sent me last night at like 1:30 in the morning. I said, okay. And she goes, it's titled, Give to Frank but Don't Open. I said, okay. And she reads it to me. And it's like sporadic all over the fucking place. So she sent it to me, and then we went over on the phone. I go, our concern is she may be over there dead. But the other part is, she didn't say anything in there that she hasn't sent before, like I just want to wake up tomorrow. Nothing real like ugly, or like I'm going to kill myself or whatever. But Philomena's like, she was mad at you for not coming over to clean the garage. And the first time you went there because she needs someone to clean the garage so she can sit in her car and die and go to sleep. So she goes, so I'm reading this, because she's like quite open hours ago or something. She goes, so as I'm reading it, wondering why she even bothered you with this, I'm thinking, maybe that's why she wanted you to clean the garage so she could actually kill herself. And I said, so I'm reading the email, we're on speakerphone reading back and forth, and I said, well, there's really nothing in here that says she's going to hurt herself. She goes, I actually was going to call the sheriff's office and ask you guys to come look at her, but then you're going to big her, and that's going to crush her more. I go, well, she talks and she wants to die. I'm going to forward it to you real quick so you can see what I'm saying. It's just a bit most bizarre. Is it cleg@sego.net? Okay, I'm going to send it to you. So I said, So there's nothing in there that I'm going to come over. I said, so yeah, we need to go over and check on her. And she goes, well, I want to call her, but if I call and check on her, and I mention the email, then I'm going to be in the same boat you are with her being upset mad. That's just the way she is with individuals. And I said, well, I don't. Okay. But right. But that's my whole thing is, the thing is, first of all, if she showed you text, you'd see that she lied on this time. I would never fucking just show up. I know. Yeah. But that's why I always kept mine. Yeah. And I get that, but and this is between Frank and Cliff, because we've worked together a long time, and we worked together where you've been at my house to see, hey, we're working further together, because we want to make sure we can trust each other. And the fact that you guys know me, and she said anything, I understand both sides. I get it. But just the fact that you guys know me, and it went any further than that, it was like, what did she say or show that could possibly make you guys believe someone that you just met, you sit at her house for a few minutes to talk to her, as opposed to someone you've worked with for the last 18, 19 years? I mean, do you get my side? And so, when Philomena and I said, I was coming to work, I was like, well, when Dale asked me about work tomorrow, I said, well, I'm scheduled to tell you work tomorrow, don't worry about it. I'm like, well, no, because I know that the thing is she knows about, no. What's she saying? And I know, and I get that, but I just wanted to. And I told you I get both sides. I get it. But I'm just saying that, I came in today like whatever, because she knows about my lawsuit with the sheriff's office. Because her and I had extensive talks, and she is like, what? Right, I get it. And I get it. I get it. Okay. I get it. Did you get the email? Nothing. Let's see. CLEGG@acgov.net. You come in? Okay. Yeah, I get it, and I'm not trying to. Right. Sure. I get it. This is from the other lady. Yeah. It was titled Send or Give to Frank, but Don't Open, or something like that. And she actually said she was lucky she opened her email, because she doesn't get emails very often anymore and never really opens her emails. But, I mean, she's all over the place. I wonder why my ears so long. Yeah, I'm not, I don't know what the hell she's talking about when she says, open it up. Old guy in the monkey. I mean, she's just all over the place. I don't know if that's that's some kind of saying, you know, the free monkeys, you know, hear no evil, see no evil. I don't know what she's talking about. Are they talking about you guys? So I don't get that. I don't understand that. The old guy and the monkey. I told you I was going to call the police. The monkey looked like he wanted. It's like she's telling a story or something. The old man doesn't look like he's having sex anymore. You know, I had a boyfriend once, was a big black guy. He was a bug. He was controlling me nicely. God, it was a 30s on the interstate.
I mean, I come in this morning thinking, you know what, whatever, she can say what she wants, she's crazy, the shit house rat. And just let it go. Then my last day until I go on vacation, and like I said, phone me in contact with this email. I'm like, well, she goes, I go, I don't even know what I want to do, but I don't want the liability in my hand if she's over there dead now. And I actually was going to tell her to forward that to you guys, and I didn't even want it because I was like, I want nothing to do with the lady anymore. She's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. I mean, is that email the most craziest thing you ever read? And then Angie was, I was going to send e-card, but I don't have your email. That lady told me that she tried contact Monday or Tuesday, I don't remember which day it was, but she asked her for my email and address. But the lady didn't have it. The lady had nothing up on it. And so that she could send me some stuff. And Philomena called me or texted me saying, this is what Marcia wanted, but I'm not going to give it to her because that's kind of weird. And I go, yeah, I said, I'm not responding to her text and stuff, so just, don't give her anything of mine. No, I have no idea. She's in New York or Jersey right now. She just left to go on vacation for the holidays. But I guess Monday when I left Marcia's place, shortly after that, she texted Philomena and said, and I didn't know she texted Philomena, but Philomena texted me and said, hey, I guess you had a pretty rough day. And I'm like, what do you mean? She said, Marcia sent me some text messages she sent you, and they were pretty evil. I said, oh yeah, I really don't read them every time anymore. Just don't respond to her because, usually, this is not the first time. Usually, a few days later, she'll send me another one apologizing for what she just did a couple days ago. And that's fully what I expected. But Tuesday night, when she started counting down, 7:30 is coming, I'm like, I'm not coming over, Marcia. We can call the sheriffs. And she goes, I'm calling. And I go, she goes, 7, like 3 or 4 texts. I'm calling. 7:30 is coming. It's almost 7:30 here. And I was like, I'm not going. We're having watching Christmas Vacation with my family, and I'm not leaving. It's 7 o'clock at night to come clean your garage. I'm torn by it because my boys fell in love with her. They don't have an old person to learn by. Obviously, when she's like this isn't for them to learn by. But, she wanted to, when she was home in between the last time 2 homes, I offered to have the boys decorate her home. Because she has like a little tiny Christmas tree and stuff. And she said that would be really nice. Well, sometime in that time frame, she left and went to another home. but she keeps getting kicked out of the summers. And I don't think they're retirement, I think they're nothing. So she says, that would be nice. That would be very nice to the boys. And without even mentioning the boys to do it, like, you know, they become very involved with her. So we went over and did the decorations. And when I told her, hey, the boys have your place all decorated, because she was gone, and she said, I don't want it fucking decorated. Went off. And I said, okay, we'll make sure it's down before you come back. So I went back and took it all down. So that and the boys don't even know it's taken down. I don't want them to be upset that, you know, she did this. They haven't, unless they go over her hiking and talking, they don't know of her mood swings. Right. Right. Yeah, I don't know, but it's not how I want to start my Christmas break, you know. You know, I've been talking with some of the other guys in their situation, tech guys, and they were, it was implied to them that they should know something about Christmas. And they're open. So I don't know what Duncan's told you, but, you know, that it's over and done about Christmas. Even if it's, oh, they did, oh, great. But, jobs. Good. Well, I mean, good. I mean, they got good jobs. Do you remember back in the day, was it a Monge or Blackwell, when you got suspended and you had to be vacation hours, you could just trade it out? I don't remember who changed it, but that would be good for them, just to be able to say, hey, take my, instead of going 120 hours with no pay, my 56 was a bitch, you know? Because I was like, well, I do cars, but at the same time, my mind was not on putting a car together in those 56 hours. So. No, I get it. I understand that. I told my wife. I told my wife last night, I said, hey, just so you know, all of our volunteering and anything else are going to hand out turkeys and stuff is done. I said, I'm spent. Maybe by next year I'll be over all this. I said, but we invited this lady into our lives, and it comes down to me telling her no, and then her making accusations. And I always ran it in my, scenarios in my head that my reputation would supersede anything that would be bullshit like that anyhow. But, you know what I'm saying? I know. I know. That's it. I just wanted to kind of run both these. I don't even know, to be honest. I just know that this is our last time, I don't know what changes, but I don't think I work when I come back on the 9th. Oh, is there? Oh, and I just kind of wanted to, in a way, I didn't want anything hanging over our heads. No. Yeah, she'd go to a home, and a couple of days later, I would hear from her a day or two, like, yes, everything's fine. Or maybe I would, but nothing, nothing major, like, I don't feel good today, I need this or I need that, just whatever. And then it'd be like, Frank, you gotta get me out of this place. Literally some more stuff's like, would be busting me out, because it's sort of being alone with people inside. Wherever my headaches, one day she'd be like, that was kind of like Arlene. We talk about my headaches and her, all her little issues. I'm not dating, obviously, but she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't have anybody. She taught for 34 years up in New York or Jersey or Long Island, someplace. She was the head of the union, and she told me how, she didn't realize until recently how much she got away with and how much people feared her because of her position with the union. And that she never wanted, she looks back on it and never wanted that fear of people. And, that she doesn't have any family, was never married, never had any kids, told me that if she ever had a son, I was the son she never had. Just really good stuff. But then there'll be another time I HT report. And, I don't know, it was back and forth. But I just give her a couple of days. There'd be like nothing for a couple of days, and they'd be like, have you ever tried grass? And my wife, have you ever tried grass? What the heck are you talking about? And I'm like, no, that's illegal. Taking marijuana, and she goes, no, it's not illegal no more. It's good for your headaches. I'm like, so that's what she's talking about. So, you know, because she would like, I think she has conversations with herself, and she thinks she's shared those conversations with somebody. And so the part I get was that they were tried grass. And I feel sorry for her. I mean, what sucks is I was telling my guests, you know, I'd like to know if there's ever been a study with people that get dementia and I don't know if she's even, you know, classified as dementia. I know she takes antidepressants and some other issues and pills. But I said, I wonder if there's ever been a study that links like this really evil old person to what they did earlier in their life. You know, if this guy, he's got dementia, but it's just memory loss, you know, he's nice, he's not nasty, did he have some like kind of, like a good life? And then you get this guy that, like Marsha, who's just complete evil at times. You know, did she earlier in her life have so much control that she still in her mind has control over everybody? I don't know if they're going to study like that to show what we might be like when we get that old. But she's texted me at, you know, early hours of the night. Obviously, I don't get it until next morning. My phone's off or on sleep mode. But man, I don't know. I feel sorry for her. I always have. And, you know, she actually contacted the sheriff's office. Initial contact was for me to call her. She contacted the captain's secretary for me to contact her. I want to thank me for help taking care of her, or praying for her, or professional, whatever she said. And if I ever, if she was looking for a place for a dog, I could find a place for her dog. But she wanted to commit suicide with a dog and her and the car together. That's why Miller and I went there the first time. So she reached out to me after she got out of base, coastal. But anyways, I thought I didn't want to go anymore, and I didn't want our last work to go be, you know, that from yesterday. Right. Right. Yeah. Right. And I appreciate that. And I did it because I saw you guys over there. and I think that's the way I look at it, because I was like, because I know that whatever she's complaining about, she's just no lady that's wanting to bitch. And Matt, I would come over, and I think in my mindset, that's what I was upset about, that, you know, so it wasn't, I'm not faulting you or Dale, I'm just, I was looking at it as the call, like, you know, or say, well, didn't have an attitude towards somebody. That's the way I was looking at it, because for me, that's what it was. Yeah, I can. But you know, that was, and then for me, it was just, I was looking at it as the call to come or whatever. Because like I said, if she was wanting me to come over, I wouldn't. So she would give me a countdown. And I said, every time I was like, call, I'm not coming over, I'm with my family. And I actually told her, I said, you want to give me a list? When I come in tomorrow, I'll stop by and ring your bell or whatever, but I'm not coming over tonight. And then she sent me a text back that the sheriff was here, and they got my mail, and stay away from me, or I'm going to tell them what a mean person you really are, or something like that. So I was like, well, I don't think I respond to her anymore. It's like, now so she gets on the right medication, whatever, we're not done with it. And then I see you guys over there, I was like, she did call. You know, because I would figure when she said she had called, she just pulled on the smoke. I was like, well, what the hell is he going to tell them? Frank's out with me, I don't want his help, so, yeah, whatever. I don't want to hang with you guys. I'll do my, you want my time matrix to do for this paper right now? Okay, I'll do my time matrix and, let's go, the chart right. And, time sheet, send that to you. And I'll look at the calendar. I don't know if I'm off a full pay period or if I come back. Okay, then it's probably, yeah, I'll look. Yeah, we're good. Absolutely. I appreciate it. So. Dude, I got text messages of her from, I've never seen it because just her conversation was so bizarre. But there's some text messages at the beginning where she told me how I can't drive anymore, so I want you to take the Camry and sell it, or give it to Cliff, or give it to Nick for his first car. And I told my wife, I don't want anything to do with that. My wife said, wasn't it a good car? I might get a good car, but I don't want anything to do with it. That's weird. I don't even know her like that. It'd be different if we were like friends for like a long time. But I don't even know her. And she, even that email, and it's been in text messages where she just has gotten so angry at me for not taking stuff. So yeah, you and I are good. She wanted to buy the boys kayaks for Christmas, and I said, we already got kayaks, we're good. You don't need to buy the boys anything. So. Yeah, I'm done with that for a while. I'll tell you that right now. I'm tired of that shit. I don't know how that goes. off since October. Does that mean I'm not in progressive now because of that? That's over? If it was happening in a two-year window, that's not progressive, right? Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not on anything. Because I really couldn't figure out how that went anyhow. I didn't know if it's like that's that 2-year window, that's why you get in trouble during that time period, that's when it's different. So, I know. Yeah, I know. See, then there's the other part. I just, this is for me, it was just, I know that downtown, I'm still under microscope. And that kind of bothered me to notice. Even, let's say if everything was cleared downtown with the lawsuit. Doesn't matter what way it's going to go. Doesn't matter if I win big or lose big. I'm still under a microscope. I mean, I'm still under it. And, you know, and that's, then this happened. I was like, I have to log in the most. Like, are you kidding me? I mean, what's kind of odd and bizarre about it, and ironic at the same time, is we talked about my case, her and I. You know, just in conversations sitting at the hospital and stuff. And she told me different things through, you know, the union this and union that, and some of it made sense, some didn't. But she'd be like, you know, you should run for sheriff. I go, yeah, I've had people ask me that, but yeah, I don't have any intention. I said, besides, I go, I live in Manatee County, so I couldn't run against him. I said, so, you know, we just kind of like floating that part of her conversation, because she'd send me text messages, he doesn't own you. You gotta quit. That goes about the marijuana, so, you know, for my migrants. I'm like, well, first of all, I'm a cop. And she goes, well, he doesn't own you. You could take that to litigation. And everything's, you know, because, and I think part of her personality is the fact that she was in charge for so many years of a union that size, if she's in fact in charge, that she just doesn't like to be said no to. And it's bothersome that the fact that she went that route, but at the same time, yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't help her. And like Philomena told me, I don't know Philomena that well. It was really odd that when I did meet her, she said, Frankie, what's your contact information? I gave it to her, and I'm so glad we exchanged contact information, because obviously, because now she's like, well, no, they didn't call me, and I'll tell them that they didn't call Dr. Werner. I guess I don't know what home she was in, or someplace she was at, because Philomena keeps mentioning some place that she used to work, Philomena, in the medical field. And not TRICARE, but some like really big elderly care place here locally. Which talks about this agreement, like I know what she's talking about. I have no idea what she's talking about. But she said, you know, you guys can even talk to Dr. Werner. And Dr. Werner's office will tell you, because I guess that's her primary care physician, he will even tell you the stuff that she's done and said to other places and stirred the pot with other doctors and stuff, and now they discharge and won't see her because of the stuff she says to do. And I said, well, I hope it doesn't come down to that, but if it does, I'll probably just give them your number, which I did yesterday, and they can talk to you about it. I said, because really, I don't know who I would track down first. But, you know, I go, if it goes that deep, then they're really just coming after me for the fact that it's a chance to get front of me. And I briefly told her, I said, I just want you to understand, because she goes, well, they just got to check this stuff out because it's elderly place. I go, well, I did that. I said, but in a nutshell, and I just gave her like a 30-second rundown of my situation. And I go, but you can ask anybody, I don't talk bad about my boss. I come to work hard every day. My car's clean, my uniform's straight. I do everything I'm supposed to do, regardless of what I'm doing at my off time against him. I go, my job performance doesn't have anything to do with him. It has to do with who I am inside. And I go, it's funny because my boss right now I work for, I would imagine if you asked him, he would tell you, I'm one of those hardest working guys in the squad, and I've always been that way. I work for Mendoza. He never had to worry about me trying to find a case on my case. I was one of the big case makers in there. Usually so many, I passed on cases. And I said, so I haven't done anything like, I gotta stay off the radar by working harder. I go, it's just who I am. I've been that way since I started working Derek when I was 14 years old. My dad always told me, no matter what you do the best you can, and no one will complain. And I said, but the fact that she's doing this now, it may come down to the meeting. She goes, well, they can have my phone number, Frank. I can forward this email to them, whatever. I'll let them know how she is. My concern right now is just to make sure she doesn't ruin her career. I go, well, my career got ruined 2.5 years ago, but I said that, I definitely don't get an index right now. That's a nice truck. I like those old C 100s or 150s. Does someone live there, or those actual Bible classes? This is kind of like our church, a lot of stuff going on all the time. Oh, is that where you're at? I know you're here. Dark? Oh, that's fine. Wow. Anyways, I just wanted to kind of clear the air with you. Sure, yeah. Does he know I leave today, or today's my last day, to where he's not calling me tomorrow or Friday? Because I don't care if my phone on me off duty. I'm glad you said that. I'm going to set it up today. I closed about behind me looking, so I don't know how to do it. You know how to do it? Is it send to the file? Your file? Options. File. Automatic reports under options. Yes. Place the 22nd? I'm glad you said that because I would not have thought about that. Well, the clarity of that, Frank, but you forgot to update your email. I've heard that one. No, I get it. All right, so Thursday, 12/22 at 6 p.m. for Monday, January 9th to 6th day. Yeah, we used to go to my uncle's house in Lakeland, my dad's brother. But this year I was like, because they like have that time to eat by noon. And if we're like 12:10, they've already started eating. I mean, there's a bunch of old people saying, they're ready to eat. And it always bothered her. Like, she goes, I can't wait 5 or 10 minutes. And we usually get there like at 12 or 12:05, and I can't wait. So years past, they come back at 12:34, so let me get there. I was like, hey, how you doing? As they everyone grabs their tray and goes to the buffet, the table, and all cooks it up on it. So I get called this year, so let's just have them down here, and we'll have them down here, and I'm going to ask you to stay back with us and have a couple of days. Yeah, that sounds fine. I go, but you know they're not going to do it, they're setting their legs. So she called them, and they said, well, actually, going to North Carolina to a cabin. We're like, woo! It works out perfect, so we don't plan on going anywhere. We're going to stay right here, and we'll do day trips and stuff. We'll take the kayaks out. Looks like this is probably the coldest it's going to get. It was. I got my boot voucher, so I logged on and did it. And I wear the shiny shoes, and they give you $125 for a boot voucher. I got the shiny shoes, but they're like 3/4 tops, which I like better because that way they come past your pants a little bit. They were $62 a piece, I think, so ordered 2 pair. So I think you're allowed to spend up that amount, and anything over, you got to spend yourself. So I put in 2 and it accepted it, and so I'm like, I got me 2 pair of shoes. And I get these from Quartermaster, usually I get my boots to the boot voucher, but I needed to get something, I've been looking for something a little different, because when I do sit down, my pants come up and I wear the shorter socks as opposed to pulling socks up all day. Yeah, so, with, me too. Wear flip-flops if I could. So anyway, so this is coming in pretty soon. Did it yesterday, I kept forgetting. My anniversary was the 10th or 11th. Actually, I should have something in my mailbox in New Maysville. I'm still maxed out. But so that tree looks like solar panels, doesn't it?
Certainly, is there anything else wrong
Sure,
with
it's not.
this case? All right, why don't we shut it down with some of the...
This is like metal base. It looks like solar panels. We saw our house will be 14 years old in March, and we're looking into
Sergeant Legg, did you know that Bybee was audio taping that conversation between you two?
No, I didn't know.
Is it standard procedure for deputies to audio tape conversations with their sergeants?
No.
That email that Bybee sent to you during this conversation, did you read that email?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that what that big gap of time was?
Yes.
Listening to nothing?
It's very like, how many more questions do you have? 2 more questions. Do you have an issue on that? Just looking at this.
Sergeant, this is State's Exhibit 16A. Could you take a look at that? Tell me if you recognize it.
Yes, I recognize it.
Is that the email that Frankie Bybee sent you on the afternoon of December 22nd when you were talking to him and being surreptitiously recorded in your car?
Yes.
Is this the email that he was referring to when he was talking about Marcia's soul being crazy?
Yes.
despite his comments to you about Marsha's soul and her mental state, did you continue to take the complaints that she made against Bybee seriously?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked for identification, States Exhibit 22. You can please look at those 2 pages. Do you recognize them?
Yes.
Is this an accurate message that you sent? Is that an accurate reflection of the message that you sent to Frank Bybee
Yes.
in reference to Marsha Soul?
Yes.
Right, I'd like to introduce States Exhibit 22 with your permission.
No objection.
Objection having been heard, States 22 is admitted. You may publish at your discretion.
And if you would read the message to Mr. Bybee in the record.
Frank, just wanted to reiterate what we spoke about concerning Miss Soul. The captain wanted to make sure you had no further contact with her. Thanks, CL.
The sheriff's office opened an internal investigation based on Ms. Soul's place misconduct as Bybee.
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I've got acknowledgement from the defense that's cross-examination can wait till Monday morning. And once again, going to ask you, it's going to be a long weekend. News reports may be out there, newspaper articles may be out there. I'm going to ask you all not to look at any of them, but research. Go about the weekend, enjoy it, and we're really nice tonight. I bet you're out in time, so enjoy that. And I will see you again on Monday morning. Once again, we'll start at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. Thank you all. All right,